Yo, what's up everybody? Durag back with another video. And this time we're going to talk about the offseason and just recap the Pacific Division in general. So these are the teams the Suns are going to be facing the most often, and so I kind of wanted to break down their offseason alongside the Suns and just get a feel for the teams we'll be seeing the most often and the teams that we'll be competing against for the playoffs. So in the Pacific Division, we have the Phoenix Suns, we have the Golden State Warriors, the Los Angeles Lakers, and Los Angeles Clippers, along with the Sacramento Kings. So two of those are championship favorites, and one of those is a former champion, returning from injury. So I overall think that this is the toughest division in basketball, and it's really not even close. The addition of CP3 totally gives the Suns somebody with enough credibility to really kind of elevate them into that playoff tier. No disrespect to Rubio or Kelly, but Chris Paul is a whole other animal when you're talking about playoffs and expectations. The Los Angeles Lakers, they had a great offseason. They're bringing in the two top 6 men candidates, Dennis Schroeder and Montrezl Harrell. So not only did they get even better, they picked up Wesley Matthews, who's a better point of attack defender than Danny Green. So overall, to me, it looks like the Lakers are still title favorites at this point in the year. The Clippers, I think, also got a little bit stronger. Serge Ibaka and Luke Kennard are their main additions, and both of those guys, I think, fit a tremendous need. Luke is somebody who can, handle in the pick and roll, create. Ibaka just provides way more of a defensive presence than Montrez did, and his relationship with Kawhi will probably go a lot farther than maybe the relationship between Trez and Kawhi. The Kings did not have too many free agents come and join them. What they did is they really kind of took swings in the draft. They got a guy named Robert Woodard who has the same kind of measurables to Kawhi Leonard. They took Tyrese Halliburton, who was one of my favorite prospects. And then they upgraded elsewhere with the likes of Frank Kaminsky and Hassan Whiteside in terms of rim protection, but no, true notable free agents. And unfortunately, I still think that leaves them at the bottom of the conference and the division in general. Again, overall, toughest division in basketball, some great additions all around. I'll have, all of the teams' additions and subtractions listed for you on the screen. All right, so let's dive into the Phoenix Suns. They have their main staying players, Devin Booker, DeAndre Ayton, Mikal Bridges, Cam Johnson. They returned with Dario, Javon, and Cam Payne in free agency. And out is Ricky Rubio, Kelly Oubre, Aaron Baines, Ty Jerome, Elie Okobo, Frank Kaminsky, Cheick Diallo, and Jalen LeCue. So more than half the team is gone, but the core pieces remain. Okay, and then in comes Chris Paul, final starter Jay Crowder, Jalen Smith in the draft, Langston Galloway, Etuan Moore, Abdel Nader in the Chris Paul trade, Damian Jones, and Jonathan Motley. So what I immediately notice here is that the Suns had a tremendous athletic infusion in their big men. We were really stuck with Frank Kaminsky, Dario Saric, and Aaron Baines last year for what I felt was way too long. All of those guys provide something unique. They were actually relatively close in terms of statistical production to each other, all 3 of them. But one thing that I really do not like watching from my big guy is a guy who can barely get 4 inches off the ground. I like a guy that can go up for lobs, that can rebound at the high point, block at the high point, contest above the rim and not just below. And that's really what the Suns went and targeted with their big men additions. Jalen Smith is a lob threat, so is Damian Jones, so is Jonathan Motley. Just going to be a nice welcomed sight in terms of aesthetically pleasing basketball, in my opinion, going forward. And then, in their backcourt, the addition of the addition of Ricky Rubio last year was super important and should not be understated. And I thought the Suns as a whole, at least the players who are returning, did a really good job in illustrating that in their interviews. But Ricky is nowhere near the caliber player that Chris Paul is. Again, no disrespect, but you take everything that Ricky was good at and then you multiply it by 2 for Chris Paul. It's just the nature of the business to see somebody who was such an immediate fan favorite, have to get shipped out the year later. But Chris Paul is going to provide such complementary basketball to all of our stars and our young players that, as much as I really liked Ricky Rubio, I'm super excited for Chris Paul to be in Phoenix. And then let's not take away from Etuan Moore and Langston Galloway either. Both guys can shoot the lights out, can create a little bit for themselves, and just have positional versatility. Again, the Suns did a great job at addressing all of their weaknesses and really identifying them and targeting players with chips on their shoulders for 1, athleticism for 2, and then 3, just high basketball IQ and positional versatility. So James Jones has a type, guys that will really fight for everything that they want, and guys that can shoot the rock and make smart decisions. So the Suns are going to be fun. If you're not a Phoenix Suns fan watching this League Pass team, for sure, try to catch every Phoenix game you can, because I guarantee you it's going to be super duper fun. And then again, just to kind of round out the video here and give a little bit more in depth, the Lakers are who I'm most scared of. Obviously, I think they're finals contenders, so they're going to be our biggest competition in my opinion. Trying to win the division for 1 and get home court advantage, and then for 2, trying to just get past them in the playoffs is going to be a crazy beast. But the Suns are a lot more equipped this year to handle that type of competition than they were last year. It looks like LeBron James is going to get a lot of help in terms of creation and having to run the O and be the orchestrator. Dennis Schroeder should help with that immensely. And then Trez as well. Trez can kind of facilitate from the 4 spot, the 4-5 spot. So there's a lot more flexibility now than they did have last year in terms of creating when LeBron sits, which is a great thing for their, championship aspirations. The Clippers, losing JaMychal Green and Landry Shamet, I think is a lot bigger than what people think. But the additions of Ibaka, Luke Kennard, and Batum, and I actually like their rookie Jay Scrubb as well, I think they retooled fairly well given the circumstances. All the information that's been really coming out about that locker room is pretty off-putting, in my opinion, for their playoff aspirations. Hopefully they can turn it around. It would be a great story to see them, take over the Lakers and really reclaim LA for the first time ever. That'd be pretty neat. But I just don't really see them, 1, being better than the Suns, and 2, reaching the ultimate peak that they're after. And onto the Golden State Warriors. They had an athleticism infusion this year. They got Kelly Oubre along with James Wiseman. Both of these guys can jump out of the gym. Both of them are super long. So the Warriors are a little scary this year. I know the Klay Thompson injury is a bummer for just basketball fans in general, and I'm praying for him to get healthy as quick as he can. But, Oubre is no slouch, and neither is Wiseman, I think, in my opinion, or Wiseman, apologies. But we'll see going forward. I'm not as scared of them again as the Lakers, but they're kind of right there in that Clippers tier where I think we'll have some fun battles, but ultimately I don't see them being a better team than the Suns. That might be super disrespectful to Steph Curry and Draymond Green, but ultimately I just can't really see it on paper, so I'm waiting for the games. And then the Kings, again, to round it out, I do think they're going to be the bottom seller of the West in general. Tank for Cade, man. Cade, Tyrese, and De'Aaron Fox is an incredible 1-2-3 combination. And then, add in a healthy Marvin Bagley this year. They might surprise people, but at the end of the day, I do think that they're going to be at the bottom. I'm not too worried about them. The Suns play them twice in the first 37 games of the season, so the opportunity to take the tiebreaker, in the first half of the year is there, and I ultimately think it'll happen. Alright guys, thanks for tuning into the video. I'll be back next time with another banger, but until then, please like, subscribe, and join us for the conversation down below in the comment section. Love you all. Till next time, Durag out.